Surah Qaf. Surah Qaf consists of 45 verses, including the Makkiyah surahs revealed after Surah Al Mursalat. It is called Qaaf because this chapter begins with the letter Qaaf. According to the hadith, narrated by Imam Muslim, Rasulullah SAW liked to read this chapter in the first rak'ah of morning prayers and during Eid prayers. Meanwhile, according to the history of Abu Daud, Al-Baihaqi and Ibnu Majah, Rasulullah SAW read this chapter every time he read his sermon on Friday. These two narrations show that Surah Qaf was often read by the Prophet Muhammad SAW in public places, to warn people about their events and the blessings given to them, as well as about the day of resurrection, the day of reckoning, heaven, hell, reward, sin, etc. This chapter is also called Al-Baasiqaat, taken from the words al-Baasiqaat, which are found in verse 10 of this chapter. The main contents of Surah Qaf. The polytheists' denial of the prophethood and the day of resurrection. It is mentioned in Surah Qaf, verses 1 to 5. These verses describe the reaction of the disbelievers to the noble Quran, where they were surprised and considered it something surprising when they were given a warning by someone from their own circle. They doubted the resurrection after death and considered it a very distant return, while Allah insisted that He knew exactly what the earth had eaten from their bodies and had well-preserved records. Unbelievers deny the truth that comes to them, so they are trapped in a state of chaos. Various natural events sign of the truth of the day of resurrection. It is mentioned in Surah Qaf, verses 6 to 11. These verses describe the greatness of Allah in creating a sturdy sky without cracks, a vast earth with sturdy mountains, and various types of beautiful plants as a lesson for His servants. Allah sends down blessed water from the sky on plants and gardens that provide sustenance to His servants, including tall date palm trees. This water is also used as a source of life for the land of the dead, depicting the resurrection from the grave as a sign of God's power and majesty. Lessons that can be drawn from historical events of previous peoples. It is mentioned in Surah Qaf, verses 12 to 15. These verses state that before them, various groups such as the people of Nuh, the people of Ras, Thamud, Ad, Fir'aun, the people of Lut, the people of Aika, and the people of Tuba, had lied to the messengers sent to them. All of them have denied the messengers, so the threat of Allah has befallen them. Allah does not feel tired in creating the first or the new, but those who deny His messengers doubt His power in creating the new. Human behavior and speech are recorded by angels. It is mentioned in Surah Qaf, verses 16 to 22. These verses describe the greatness of Allah in creating humans, knowing everything that is whispered by Him, and the presence of angels who record every human action. When the death of death arrives, nothing can be avoided, and the trumpet is blown as a sign of the doomsday that has been threatened. Everyone will come with accompanying angels and witnesses, while humans who were previously heedless will realize the truth with the sharpness of their vision on that day. Quarrel between unbelievers and Satan in hell. It is mentioned in Surah Qaf, verses 23 to 30. These verses describe Allah's command to the angels to throw people who are very disobedient, stubborn, reluctant to do good deeds, go beyond limits, are doubtful, and associate partners with Allah into the hell of hell as a harsh punishment. The accompanying Satan denies responsibility for the person's misguidance, but Allah confirms that his decision cannot be changed, and that He does not wrong His servants. On the Day of Judgment, Allah asked hell if it was full, and hell answered with the question whether there was any more, showing Allah's justice and power in determining punishment for those who disobey. Rewarding good deeds. It is mentioned in Surah Qaf, verses 31 to 35. These verses describe that heaven is brought closer to those who are pious, who repent and obey Allah. Those who fear Allah, even though they do not see Him, come to Him, with a repentant heart will enter paradise in safety and peace, which is an eternal day. They will get what they want in heaven, and Allah also promises them additional blessings. Threats to people who deny the day of resurrection. It is mentioned in Surah Qaf, verses 36 to 37. These verses describe the strength and destruction of previous peoples who were greater than the Quraysh infidels, but they still perished even though they had the power to roam several countries. This is a warning for people who have the heart or use their hearing to witness this incident so that they can learn lessons from the incident that has occurred. Conclusion of Surah Qaf. It is mentioned in Surah Qaf verses 38 to 45. These verses describe that Allah created the heavens, the earth, and everything in it in 6 periods without getting tired. The Prophet Muhammad was asked to be patient with the words of disbelievers, and to pray to God before the rising and setting of the sun, as well as during part of the night and after every prayer. On the day of resurrection, there will be a cry from a nearby calling angel, and humans will hear a powerful voice when they rise from the grave. Allah confirms that He is the one who gives life and death, and the earth will split to bring humans to Padang Mahsyar easily for Him. Allah knows all the words of people, and the Prophet Muhammad was not forced to impose the truth on them, but he was asked to give a warning with the Quran to anyone who was afraid of Allah's threats. Conclusion of Surah Qaf. Surah Qaf, like other Makkiyah surahs, discusses themes related to resurrection, heaven and hell, and explains that the disbelievers' denial of the Prophet Muhammad, blessings and peace of Allah be upon him, is normal, considering that previous prophets were also denied by their people. In the context of faith, this chapter confirms that every human being will be present in the Mahsyar field on the Day of Judgment, accompanied by 2 angels, one as an accompanying person and the other as a witness to all his deeds. The resurrection of humans from the grave is described as dry land coming back to life after being watered by rain, and Allah is closer to humans than their own jugular veins. Each individual is accompanied by an angel who records all his actions, while the creation of heaven and earth and everything in them occurred in 6 periods. The laws outlined include recommendations for praying to God at certain times, as well as orders for His messenger to warn believers with verses from the Quran. Apart from that, this chapter records the polytheist denial of the prophethood and the day of resurrection, providing consolation to the Prophet Muhammad, Shallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, so that he would not despair in the face of the rejection of the disbelievers in Mecca, with a reminder that the previous apostles also experienced the same thing. The Quran is positioned as a warning for those who fear Allah's threats.